two big habits that I stand on, and I still do today. Is the one that's a discipline, and most people may not want to do this, but the one that's a discipline is I constantly gauge whichever company I'm in. I constantly gauge the CEO's pulse, meaning what's important to that CEO, because what's important to that CEO is important to me, not necessarily what's right in my leadership chain above me, because that's a non-negotiable. I have to do what they want me to do. However, I have to keep pulse on what's important to the CEO. And that may be articulated in the 10K or an 8K filing. It may be articulated in the all employee, all associate meetings. It may be articulated in an interview that you hear that CEO speak to some industry source. But I'm constantly keeping pulse of what's important to that CEO, because it's something that what's important to that CEO has to be important to me. And the reason I make that a priority is because it allows me to control the narrative of what I'm hearing. Far too often, if I rely on my leadership chain right above me, I'm getting their perception or their deduction or their interpretation of what they think the CEO is. And not to speak philosophically, when people start comments with "I think, I feel, I believe" versus what I know, there's a huge gap. So I rather keep a pulse on what I know is important to the CEO rather than what I think, feel, or believe I'm hearing through my direct leadership chain. That's nothing against my leadership chain. It's just that it's a discipline that I hold for myself. The second one is every morning between 5 and 8 a.m., I watch Squawk Box on CNBC so I could get a pulse on all things in the market. Most people may find that boring, but the more you watch, I've been watching it now for 22 years since my youngest daughter was born, right? So my oldest daughter was born 22 years. And the ability to stay relevant on all things business has allowed me to be credible and relevant in every conversation I have, because a lot of the things that are important to my CEO are actually discussed on that program. Every weekday morning, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Squawk Box on CNBC. So